Hey guys, it's True Crime with Tiff Kline, giving criminals the disrespect they deserve. Tonight, I am going to do something a little different. I was supposed to interview a friend, Aspen, but we're going to postpone that until next week. So tonight, I'm just going to talk about a few things that have been going on in the news, an anniversary of sorts, some updates, and we're just going to talk, a little bit of everything. No specific agenda or story to follow here. I will talk about a few of them, but there's not enough updates to really make a full podcast on. So sometimes I like to just blend a few together. So yeah, this is True Crime with Tiff Kline. I am excited to be back. I know I have been kind of MIA lately because I started a new job and my focus has been on that. And I had to pass some state exams to be an insurance agent for Pennsylvania and soon Ohio and Kentucky. If you guys need homeowners insurance, auto insurance, pet insurance, any kind of insurance except health, I can help you with if you're in the state of PA right now. So reach out to me. I can help get you quotes and it'll give me some practice. But with that being said, I'm happy to be back. It's Friday night and I'm full of energy for some reason. It could be because I had 3 cups of coffee and a nice coffee on top of that today and got some pretty good sleep last night. I spent some of my afternoon doing some trainings. And then this evening, I've been working on a website for a restaurant I do social media for. So that's the Avenue Restaurant and Catering for those who are from my area. Check it out. Award-winning restaurant in the area, Northeast PA. So yeah, we're down to less than 2 months until CrimeCon Vegas, and they announced some more guests today. Vinnie Politan and Jesse Weber were 2 of them, so I'm pretty excited. I did get to meet both of them at CrimeCon Denver, and they're just super cool. I'm looking forward to this. I like seeing some new faces that weren't there last year. I know Nate Eaton's coming back. Everybody loves Nate Eaton. If you're not familiar with him, he covered the Lori Vallow Daybell case, which we're going to talk about here shortly with some updates that's been going on. But I got the pleasure of having a private meeting with him in Denver, and he was just the nicest person. He loves donuts, by the way. And if you follow him, you know that. But he has been covering stories left and right, but his main breakthrough, I believe, was the Lori Vallow Daybell case. He went to the trials. He bombarded Lori Vallow in Hawaii when she wouldn't say where her kids were. And he's coming back this year to interview one of the jurors from the trial. One of the trials, because there were multiple. So I'm looking forward to hearing him speak again. I got to hear him speak last year. He interviewed Lori's son, Colby Ryan, who was also very sweet. He just turned 30 the other day. So happy birthday, Colby, if you're listening. Such a sweet, humble man. And I just always wish him the best. So I guess we'll start out, since I just brought up Lori Vallow. Can you believe that bitch is at it again? I can, because she's a class A narcissist and everything has to revolve around her and it's disgusting. But, that's just how Lori is. If you guys don't remember, and if you do, here's just an update. Lori Vallow Daybell had been convicted of murder for her 2 children, Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, and her husband, Chad Daybell's wife, Tammy Daybell. Those convictions were in 2023. Unfortunately, Tylee and JJ were found in the backyard of Chad. JJ was buried by the pet cemetery, and Tylee's remains were found by a fire pit. If you want more information, look up Courtroom Insider with Nate Eaton. He covered this trial back to back for years. He has all the information, but I'm just giving you a brief overview because I'm sure a lot of you know the whole story. And I could be here for 3 days talking about it. But like I said, Nate Eaton had covered it. So just look up Courtroom Insider and he will catch you up. He's amazing. Like I said, he covered this case inside and out and still continues to do so. So then she also, that was for Idaho for the convictions of Tylee, JJ, and Tammy. And then she was in Arizona for a trial for her ex-husband, Charles, and an attempted murder on her cousin's husband, Brandon. I can never say his name right. Brandon Boudreaux, I believe is how you say it. So she had 2 separate trials and she's in for life, man. And she didn't get the death penalty because there was some problems with the filings on time. So they took the death penalty off the table, which sucks because that bitch deserves to go. Like my mom said this morning, pour gasoline on her and light a match, because the horrible things that this wench did is just unimaginable. And poor Colby, like he has come through so much trauma and tragedy since this happened in 2019. And he is humble. He has a family and his wife, Kelsey, and his few kids that he has. And he's he's had a lot of health issues if you guys have followed him on his YouTube channel. Like I said, when I got to meet him, it was heartbreaking but honorable. Like, because I've watched Colby through this whole entire case from 2019 to now, and I got to meet him in person, and he was just his energy was just so calm and grateful to be at CrimeCon, grateful to have supporters, and grateful to have a true crime family that supports him. He doesn't he doesn't call Lori mom. He kind of compartmentalized who she was as his mom and who she is today, so he refers to her as Lori. And when he was at CrimeCon last year, the bitch had enough nerve to text Nate Eaton that morning and relay a message to Colby, and we did this in the Q&A, and Nate relayed that message to Colby. And it's just like she had to be center of attention still. She knew he was at CrimeCon. And it baffles me that these prisoners have access to tablets, to email, to FaceTime, to text. It's like, you were in prison. Like, they should not be allowed to have that kind of communication when they did what they did. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't agree with that. And I think it's disgusting. They should not have any rights, any privileges. They should just be thrown in a cell and just rot. But who am I? I'm not the jury. I'm not the judge. I'm not the police. I'm just a person who watches true crime and have my opinions on it. Yeah, so she's in prison for that. Like I said, in 2023, she was convicted of murdering her daughter Tylee, son JJ, husband, dad's wife Tammy, and then she was brought into Arizona for the death of her ex-husband Charles and her cousin's husband Brandon Bourdois. I cannot say that damn last name to save my life, so I apologize. Found guilty on everything, and she's still trying to have center of attention. Now she's trying to appeal the 2023 conviction. Not 2025, but 2023. Now, we know in 2025, she represented herself and made an ass of herself. And the judge, he's great. He had so much patience, but that man has so much patience. He had to deal with her ass in the courtroom, but she had the right to represent herself. And this case is just, it never ends. It never ends. Like, I get so heated up over it. So heated up. So I was really happy that my first CrimeCon, I got to meet Nate Eaton and got to hear him speak about this case because, like I said, I followed it all the way through, start to finish. So it's one of those cases I know a lot about, everything about, like John Bonet, like Gabby Petito, Lacey Peterson. Those would probably be the top cases that I know inside and out for the most part, and Columbine. And I really don't want to see her face ever again. But here we are because, it's Lori Vallow. And so I'll break it down for you. This is what she's doing, okay? Obviously, she can't help herself. Yes, she appealed this 2023 conviction. She is entitled to that. But she is claiming that she didn't have a fair trial. But you know what? Her kids didn't have a fair chance to live. Her kids were murdered by her hands. I mean, if you really want to talk about what's fair, it's not fair that Tylee, JJ, and Tammy Charles are not here anymore. That's not fair. So this bitch is going to go into the courtroom and try to, she's not going to, but she's trying to appeal her conviction because she wasn't given a fair trial. Meanwhile, 4 people were murdered. Yeah, 4 people were murdered, and she doesn't think it's fair that she didn't have a fair trial. Excuse me? Was it fair that Tylee's remains were found in a fire pit? Was it fair that JJ was found with duct tape and in his pajamas and wrapped in plastic layer by layer and buried under the ground to rot? Was that fair, Lori? Was it fair that Tammy was scared because somebody attempted to shoot her? And then she was buried and then exhumed and they found out that she was murdered? Was that fair, Lori? No, Lori. And considering Lori gets to have access to technology, I really hope she listens to podcasts and know how many people hate her and want her to just rot and die. I just cannot believe it's all about her and being fair. Like, you murdered your children and your ex-husband and your new husband's wife, and you want to talk about fair? So, because she's claiming she didn't have a fair trial, it's up to the Idaho Supreme Court to make the call on whether or not there will be an overturn on her 2023 conviction. The appellant attorneys filed a motion arguing that her convictions in the deaths of Tylee, JJ, and Tammy should be overturned. There won't be a jury or witness testimonies, just lawyers having 15 minutes each, and the judges. And in early 2026, which was just a few weeks ago, this happened, Idaho prosecutors issued a 59-page rebuttal asking the court to uphold her life sentences. They argue the trial court handled all procedures correctly, including her competency evaluations. As of this month, April 2026, a date for oral arguments has not been set. After the defense files their final reply brief, the Supreme Court will schedule a hearing to decide the manner. Lori's defense is challenging the original trial on 5 primary grounds. Number 1, right to counsel. The removal of her initial attorney, Mark Means, which she claims violated her constitutional rights. Number 2, speedy trial. Claims that nearly 2-year delay between her indictment and trial violated her rights, though prosecutors argue these delays were due to her own competency stays. Number 3, presence of hearings. The defense argues she was excluded from critical pretrial hearings while she was held in a mental health facility. Number 4, evidence issues. Objections to the admission of evidence regarding the Arizona crimes during the Idaho trial. There weren't supposed to be things coming up from Arizona in the Idaho trial. Apparently they were, and that's what she's fighting. Number 5, competency. She's challenging the challenges to how the court managed the periods when she was found, quote, unfit to stand trial, unquote. Even if, big if, her Idaho appeal were to be successful, please God, please do not let this bitch have this overturned. She would remain in custody under her Arizona sentences. So even if they come in and say, okay, we're overturning the convictions, this was not a fair trial, there will be a new trial. But she will still remain in custody under her Arizona sentences. And again, it's important to note that this appeal only affects her Idaho case, not her 2025 Arizona case. So that's what's going on in the Lori Vallow world. And we know that the crazy bitch has things going on in her head that is probably a nightmare to everybody. But I was viewing, my name is Nate Eaton's YouTube the other day, and he posted the files that were never released from Lori. There was video of Colby, Tylee, JJ, and Lori in a car singing songs. Now, they all had great voices. There was a video of Tylee saying she was going to be a baker and was laughing and goofing off. She was singing a Hawaiian song, beautiful voice. She was trying to calculate how much she wanted to go to college. I mean, she was planning out her life. She was a very smart teenager. Colby's voice sounds very different in that video, but again, it was years ago. So he's matured now. You know, he is 30, and he's a man. So there were some of the files, and then there was a file her coming out of an interview or a meeting, and she got in trouble, and she had gum in her mouth she wasn't supposed to, and she just walked away from one of the employees, and she's just a bitch, man. Like, I cannot with this woman. And it's like, have we not seen enough of her? And again, like, I'm not mad that Nate talks about her. I know there's a lot of people on Facebook going like, oh my God, give it up already. Let's move on to something else. But like, just because it's old quote news doesn't mean these lives still don't matter. Tylee and JJ and Tammy and Charles, their lives still matter. And if there's a way that this is going to get overturned, like, and have a new trial, and there's a possibility it could overturn her convictions, like, that's just a kick in the face to all of them. They deserve better. They deserve justice. And I really hope that the Supreme Court does not overturn this. For the love of God, let this bitch just rot in a cell until she dies, please. Like, it's not fair that their lives aren't here, but, you know, let's talk about a fair trial. I mean, I get it. She's allowed that as a human and her rights to appeal it. We all know that, but let's just hope by the grace of God, this just burns her in her ass and she cannot have this overturned. For Tylee, for JJ, for Charles, for Tammy, for the attempted murder on Brandon, just please, God. I'm literally praying right now. Like, my hands are folded, my eyes are closed, and I'm just praying to God that this does not get overturned. All right. That's my update on Lori Vallow Daybell. The next one I want to talk about is Trouble in Paradise. Now, this one's been on the news, the past week or two. There was a major verdict on April 8th in the trial of Dr. Gerhard Konig, a Maui anesthesiologist. You guys may see him. A lot of people think he looks like Justin Timberlake. I don't see it, but that's the ongoing joke about this guy. I watched a YouTube video the other day of Nancy Grace just ripping the defense lawyer apart, and I posted about it, and somebody got on my Facebook page, and they're like, she should have given him more respect and hear him out. And I'm like, first of all, it's Nancy Grace. If you're going to agree to go on an interview with Nancy Grace, you better know that you're probably going to get your ass ripped on TV in front of the world. Like, that's the 98.9%, even a 99% gamble that she's going to burn you in front of everybody. Like, it's not a safe space with Nancy. I love her so much because she will just tell you how the fuck it is. She's ruthless. She gives no fucks. She's just who she is. And off TV, she's so sweet. I tell a lot of people that because I've met her, and they're just the people who don't follow true crime, but they know who Nancy Grace is. They're like, oh my God, she's ruthless. She's a bitch. And I'm just like, no, I mean, in real life, she's a sweetheart, but she knows what she's talking about. Like, she does not sugarcoat shit. She's not going to tell people what they want to hear. She's going to tell you what you need to hear. And she's not going to worry about hurting your feelings. So don't go on Nancy Grace and expect rainbows, unicorns, and butterflies. You're probably going to get rocks, dirt, and bricks thrown at you. Like, I love her so much, but she was on a roll on that. I was laughing so hard. I think I sent it to Aspen yesterday because I was like, if you want a good laugh for the day, listen to this. And it was just how she quoted things. Like, if you guys are familiar with this, the doctor testified that Hawaii doctor testifies wife shoved him atop a cliff and he attacked her in self-defense. Okay, so he hit her in the head a few times with a rock and apparently had a syringe with him, and she was the one covered in blood on camera, not him. And Nancy got on with this lawyer, and it cracked me up because his defense was that she grabbed him by the balls, and Nancy goes, that's his defense? That's his defense? So the lawyer's gone trying to defend this guy, right? And she goes, if I was in a courtroom, I may not be able to hold you in contempt, but I can cut your mic. And she just cut him off. I laughed so hard. Like, it was just, she just kept coming at him. And then he's like, he's saying that he hit her in the head like only 2 or 3 times. And she says, wait, stop. Only 2 or 3 times? And she's like, how many times does somebody have to get bashed in the skull for it to matter? That's why I love her, because it's not that she goes out of her way to make somebody sound like an asshole. It's she makes you look like an asshole because you sound stupid. And that is why I respect her. She's the queen. I love her so much. I can't wait to see her in a few weeks. But anyway, I just wanted to put that in. If you guys go to her YouTube page, she talks about it with a few people, and it's her crime stories. And it was just posted like 2 or 3 days ago. So it's called Jealous Dr. Konig. She grabbed me by the balls. That's the title of the episode. Okay. So for those who don't know what's going on, again, the case is about Dr. Gerhard Konig, a Maui anesthesiologist. And the case was referred to as Trouble in Paradise. And after the trial, it concluded after 3 weeks of testimony in a Honolulu courtroom. And a jury found Dr. Konig guilty of attempted manslaughter rather than the original charge of a second-degree attempted murder. The jury decided the act was committed under extreme mental and emotional disturbance. This charge stemmed from a March 2025 attack on his wife, Ariel Konig, during a hike on the Palipuka Trail of Oahu. I don't know how to say Hawaiian things. Oahu, whatever. Prosecutors alleged he tried to push her off a cliff and beat her with a rock. He called his son and admitted to him that a critical moment in the trial involved a phone call with Dr. Konig. He made a phone call to his 19-year-old son immediately after he tried to push her off a cliff and beat her in the head with a rock. They alleged the son told authorities his father confessed, saying, I tried to kill your stepmom. Konig testified that the struggle was unplanned and fueled by emotional distress after learning his wife's alleged affair. Now, she worked from home, from what I heard from Susan Hendricks on Nancy's show, and she was talking to this coworker about a symphony, like music, a symphony, nothing sexual. And apparently she was having an emotional affair. But what it sounds like to me is he's just a control freak. Didn't fucking like she was talking to another man and lost his shit. That's what it sounds like. I mean, in a nutshell, right? Dr. Konig testified that the struggle was unplanned, again, and fueled by emotional distress after learning of his wife's alleged affair. He also testified that he actually said, "She said I tried to kill her," and that he was simply calling to say goodbye before planning to jump from the cliff himself. So he was going to commit suicide and jump off a cliff because his wife was talking to a man that she worked with from home about a symphony. I just wanted to put that out there. Konig testified, again, that the struggle was unplanned and fueled by emotional distress after learning of his wife's affair. The jury was swayed by testimony regarding Ariel's relationship with a coworker. The defense argued this emotional affair caused the doctor to snap. So his wife texts a guy about a symphony and it sets him off. He loses control and there's no evidence she was having an affair and she worked from home. Got it. Ariel filed for divorce in May of 2025 and seeking full custody of their two young. The jury foreperson, Galupa Atkins, I think I said that right, Galupa Atkins, stated that while they believed the doctor's actions were deadly, the emotional distress caused by the martial conflict was enough to meet the legal threshold for the lesser charge. I'm going to say that again because a lot of people are losing their shit over this. The jury foreperson stated that while they believed the doctor's actions were deadly, the emotional distress caused by the martial conflict was enough to meet the legal threshold for the lesser charge. Some claim he did it for money. They had life insurance policies out on each other. Hers up to $1.5 million, but he's a doctor. He didn't need the money. That's what some people are trying to say. Oh, well, that's the reason why he killed her. It's for life insurance. No, I don't think so. Not when he's a doctor. Unless he was that much in debt, but apparently he wasn't in debt. Apparently he had no debt. He wasn't a gambling person. He just made money. Dr. Konig's medical privileges at Maui Memorial Medical Center were suspended immediately following his arrest. He was previously a professor at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, UPMC. Under Hawaii law, a defendant can have an attempted murder charge reduced to attempted manslaughter if they can prove they were under the influence of extreme mental or emotional disturbance with a reasonable explanation. While the defense expressed relief that the attempted murder charge, which carries a life sentence, was avoided, they have indicated plans to appeal the manslaughter conviction. Of course, Dr. Konig will remain at the Oahu Community Correctional Center until his sentencing on August 13th, 2026. That's all I have for that story because there really isn't much else to it. But again, it's called Trouble in Paradise. Look up Dr. Konig, Hawaiian doctor, and you'll find more information on that. There was another one. Oh, God, we just have a lot this week. Let's get to the Lynette Hooker case. That one's huge right now. It's the lady that went overboard, apparently on a dinghy in the Bahamas. I've been watching that one. So I've been diving into that one, no pun intended. But I had missed the initial announcement of when she was reported missing and the news report of it. Like, I really didn't see it until the other day because now it's viral. It's everywhere. But my friend Erica sent me a video asking me what my thoughts were. So I dove into it and then we'll get into it. So the incident occurred on Saturday, April 4th in the Abaco Islands. Now, her husband and she were avid sailors. She knew what she was doing. She was skilled. She knew how to swim. And they went all over the world sailing. And the fact that she went overboard apparently on a dinghy and drowned or got ripped away by a current and didn't get the floating device is odd to me, and it's odd to the daughter and odd to her mom because she was so skilled. And they said that she had the key and left it in the boat. What the daughter said that she never had the key, that the stepdad did. But anyway, this occurred on Saturday, April 4th, 2026. Lynette Isleworth and her husband, Brian Hooker, were traveling in an 8-foot dinghy from Hopetown Elbow Cay. Hooker told authorities that Lynette fell overboard around 7:30 p.m. He claimed she had the boat keys on her, causing the engine to stall. He reported that strong currents swept her away while he spent hours paddling back to shore, arriving around 4 a.m. in the morning. Okay, actually, hold on. This is where I was getting pissed off because I was like, all right, so you're on a dinghy with your wife. She goes overboard. No life jacket. You don't try to fucking jump in and save her. You're both good swimmers. And then you just paddle to shore and don't get there till 4 a.m. But then news came out today that the boat he had a tracker on it, and they said that the boat was in use while apparently all this was happening. So it's not looking good for this guy. He was also on social media posting things in the midst of chaos. He was messaging friends and waited 24 hours to call the daughter and left a voicemail saying that the floating device that he threw to her didn't get to her and she's been missing for almost 24 hours. That's the voicemail that the daughter got. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force and local rescue services have been conducting active searches in the surrounding waters. As of Wednesday, April 8th, 2026, the Royal Bahamas Police Force shifted the focus of the investigation. They changed it from a criminal investigation into the disappearance. Originally, it was an investigation to find her alive, but now it's going to be a search and recovery because they don't think she's alive 4 or 5 days later. So Brian Hooker was taken into custody in Abaco as a suspect. Hooker's legal team has stated that he categorically and unequivocally denies any wrongdoing and maintains that he has been cooperating with the police. Lynette's daughter, Carly, has been very vocal in the media. I've seen a few clips on her. She's challenging her stepfather's account of the disappearance and has I'm having a hard time pronouncing words tonight, explicably, called for a deeper investigation into the possibility of foul play. Carly told NBC and CBS that the story Brian provided, that Lynette fell overboard with the boat keys, did not align with her mother's experience or typical habits. Carly pointed out that Brian was always the one driving the dinghy and was basically in charge of the keys. She stated that it makes no sense for her mother to have had the keys on her person. Carly described her mother as a very experienced sailor and swimmer who had spent years on the water. She expressed deep skepticism that her mother would simply, quote, fall off a boat. In interviews with Fox News and other outlets, Carly made serious allegations regarding the couple's relationship. She found out from her grandma, Lynette's mom, that the relationship was volatile, noting that they had a history of not getting along, and particularly when alcohol was involved. Most notably, Carly alleged that Brian had been abusive in the past. She claimed there was a history of him choking her sister out in front of her when she was in 3rd grade, and a history of him choking her mom and threatening to throw her overboard. Carly revealed she first learned about the disappearance through a voicemail from Brian. She mentioned he told her they found a flotation device he had thrown to her mother, but she remained suspicious of the timeline. Carly has hired an attorney and is pushing for the FBI and U.S. Coast Guard to take a more active role, as she expressed frustration with receiving very little information from Bahamian authorities. Brian's lawyer released a statement specifically denying the allegations recently made by Carly, maintaining that the event was a tragic accident caused by unpredictable seas and high winds. Carly has stated that while she hopes her mother might be on a little island somewhere, she's losing optimism that she will be found alive. She says, "I don't think you can tread the water for that long." Let's not forget, Lynette, 55, is a Michigan native who has been an avid sailor for over a decade. She and her husband documented their life at sea on social media, Instagram and YouTube primarily, and they had recently upgraded to a 50-foot sailboat and had been in the Bahamas for about a month before she went missing. Her mother, Darlene Hamlet, emphasized that Lynette grew up on the water and was a strong, confident swimmer, which is why the family finds the accidental fall narrative so hard to believe. The official report from Brian Hooker claims the incident occurred at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, April 4th. However, authorities in the family have noted a significant gap in the timeline. Brian did not reach the Marsh Harbor boat yard to report her missing until 4 a.m. on Sunday, nearly 8 hours after she fell overboard. Brian told the police the engine died because Lynette had the keys when she fell. He claims he spent those 8 hours paddling and drifting in the 8-foot dinghy to reach shore. While her daughter, Carly, has been the primary spokesperson, Lynette's mother, Darlene, has recently shared even more troubling context. Darlene told investigators that Brian had abused her daughter physically and emotionally throughout their 25-year marriage. She revealed the couple had separated as recently as 18 months ago, reconciling to go on the Bahamas trip. Upon hearing of Brian's arrest yesterday, Darlene stated she felt the police were spot on to take him into custody. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force has officially transitioned the mission from a search and rescue to a search and recovery. A flotation device was reportedly recovered in the water, which Brian claims he threw to her. No other signs of Lynette have been found. Brian Hooker remains in custody in the Bahamas for questioning as of this afternoon, yesterday. He has not been formally charged with a crime, and his lawyer continues to maintain his innocence, citing unpredictable seas and high winds as the cause of the tragic accident. Lynette's family has set up a GoFundMe to help cover the costs of private search and legal fees as they continue to pressure the FBI to take over the lead on the case. Again, you can visit Nancy Grace Crime Stories on YouTube for more on that video and story. I hope they find her. If I had a magic 8-ball, all I'm going to say is if I had a magic 8-ball, all signs would point to yes. And I'm saying it without saying it, and you know what I'm saying. Moving on. Next one. Today marks 38 years since two people went missing named Keith Call, who was 20, and Cassandra Haley, known as Sandy, were 18. There were 2 of 8 victims associated with the Colonial Parkway murders. There was a series of killings that occurred in Virginia between 1986 and 1989. I'll give you a little bit of a background here on the Colonial Parkway murders. So we have Kathleen Thomas and Rebecca Dowski, David Knobling and Robin Edwards, Richard Keith Call and Cassandra Haley, Daniel Lauer and Anna Maria Phelps all went missing between 1986 and 1989. So today marks 38 years of Richard Keith Call and Cassandra Haley missing. They went missing in April of 1988. Their car was found abandoned at York River Overlook and bodies were never recovered. The 2 Christopher Newport University students disappeared in the early hours of April 10th, 1988 while on their very first date. Their case is unique among the Colonial Parkway victims because while they are presumed dead, their bodies have never been recovered. After attending a party in Newport News, the couple was last seen leaving around 1:30 a.m. Keith's red 1982 Toyota Celica was found abandoned at a scenic pull-off on the Colonial Parkway near the York River. Nearly all of their clothing was found inside the vehicle, including Cassandra's purse and Keith's wallet with money still inside. This led investigators to rule out robbery as a motive. Despite exhaustive searches by the FBI and local authorities, including the use of dive teams in the York River, no physical trace of Keith or Cassandra was ever found. The case remained cold for decades until significant forensic breakthroughs occurred in the mid-2020s. In January 2024, authorities announced that DNA evidence had conclusively linked Alan Wade Wilmer Sr., a local fisherman and hunter who died in 2017, to the murders of another Parkway couple, David Knobling and Robin Edwards. While Keith and Cassandra remain missing, investigators have officially linked Wilmer to the disappearance. Wilmer, who had a history of violent behavior and lived in the Gloucester area, is now considered the primary perpetrator in these cases. October of 2023, 35 years after the disappearance, the Call family placed a monument for Keith at the Roswell Cemetery in Gloucester County, providing a sense of symbolic closure for his siblings. The Colonial Parkway murders refer to the serial killings of at least 8 people along near Virginia's scenic Colonial Parkway. The cases are characterized by pairs of victims, usually young couples and vehicles who were targeted in, quote, lover's lane style settings for decades. These remained among the most high-profile, unsolved cases in the United States, but major forensic breakthroughs in 2024 and 2025 have finally provided long-sought answers. The Colonial Parkway murders continue to be a focal point for the true crime advocacy, with family members and investigators utilizing modern genealogical techniques and advanced DNA extraction tools like MVAC to seek final answers for remaining victims. So I just wanted to give that a little shine tonight because it's exactly 38 years since Keith Call and Cassandra Haley, known as Sandy, went missing in 1988, and their bodies have never been recovered. So there's 8 of them. Real quick, I'll go through them just to give them some respect. Kathleen Thomas was 27, Becca Dowski, 21. They were found in Thomas's Honda Civic along the Colonial Parkway, strangled, throat slashed, bodies doused in diesel. Confirmed linked to Wilmer via DNA in 2026. David Knobling, who was 20, and Robin Edwards, 14. September 1987. Last seen at Ragged Island Wildlife Refuge. Bodies found along the James River. Wilmer confirmed as the killer via DNA in 2024. Again, Richard Keith Call, 20, and Cassandra Haley, 18. Went missing April 1988. Found abandoned at York River Overlook. Bodies never recovered. Wilmer strongly linked, but not yet fully confirmed. Daniel Lauer and Anna Maria Phelps. Car found at the rest stop on I-64, September of 1989. Bodies discovered under a blanket off a logging road. Cause of death unclear due to decomposition. Wilmer suspected, but not yet definitely confirmed. Why the case took so long to solve was because of early forensic limitations, multiple jurisdictions involved, and no surviving witnesses, bodies in remote or water-adjacent areas, and the killer died in 2017 before DNA technology caught up. By 2020, FBI stated that Wilmer would have been federally prosecuted for at least 5 of the murders if he was still alive. So that's just a little bit of a background. I'd never heard of the Colonial Parkway murders until last night. I was on Facebook, and one of the groups I followed just happened to share it. And then I did some research on it and did a post on it. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick. I hope their families get answers. I hope they can link Wilmer to their murders and they can finally have some real closure. Not that closure is ever real, but you know what I'm getting at. So I know there was a lot, but there was a lot going on in true crime this week, and I'm sure I'm missing something. I know that, what's his name, he admitted to killing now 8 people. Hold on one second. I'm going to sneeze. Rex Howerman pleads guilty to murdering 7 women, admits he killed an 8th. So he admitted he's guilty, death penalty taken off the table. He's in life, no parole. And I'm guessing, they might study his brain and he may admit to more. You never know. There may be a lot more that he murdered that he's going to come out and at least eventually say. According to News Nation, there's a sentencing that is set for June 17th, 2026. So I didn't really follow that case, so I don't really have a lot to say on it. I know that was a big one up in the Long Island area in the Gilgo Beach. But yeah, he pled guilty to 7 women, and then he admits he killed another one. So that's 8. But like I said, more may come out. I mean, look, they just found that Ted Bundy was the killer of another girl that just came out in the news. So, I mean, things just, DNA, man. I love DNA. It's so fucking cool. Like, I love that we live in a time that they can use, like, if somebody sips out of a straw and throws it in the garbage, and then we can prosecute you for murder. Like, how awesome is that? Like, the 80s didn't have this shit. The 70s didn't have this shit. Like, it's so cool. I love technology. I love science. Oh my God, it's so cool. But there was another one. Oh yeah, here's another one. I'm from Ohio, so this one got me. So there was a mother on hospice after plastic surgery. And I was taken away by this one because she went in for a tummy tuck. I think she was 47 and she died. And the surgeon is actually suing the surgery center because apparently things were not reported the way that they should have been. It's astounding. I'm trying to find my summary that I wrote about it. Maybe I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. I thought I wrote a big thing about it, but she was all over social media leading up to her tummy tuck. She was excited talking about it. And apparently she survived 20 days after surgery, but then apparently had an overdose on medication and was in hospice and she died. But the surgeon, let me try to pull it up because I don't want to miss something. I know I posted about it. I hate when I'm on a podcast and then I think of something because then I have to take the time to research it real quick because I know I talked about it, but I don't know where it is. It's probably on my main page, which means I'm going to have to scroll for a while because I post a lot. But this one, it was in Cincinnati. I saw pictures of her. She was wearing a Bengals jersey and, Who Dey. Because I'm originally from Ohio, so I have to be a Bengals fan. It's embarrassing sometimes, but we almost won the Super Bowl a few years ago, but we'll probably never get back there again because we suck. But I'm always going to root for the Bengals. Welcome to the jungle. So, almost there, guys. Sorry. But yeah, she was from Cincinnati. She was 47, goes in for a tummy tuck and dies after hospice, or while in hospice. And the husband did not do an autopsy, and people are questioning why, now he's trying to sue the surgeon in the surgery center when he didn't request an autopsy and why she actually died. So people are losing their shit about that, which I would too. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, if you have a loved one die after surgery and everything apparently went well, why are you suing, right? So her name was Rachel, And she went in for surgery. She was really excited. She was all over TikTok and died. And I cannot find this damn post. Anyway, she went in and it wasn't a life-threatening thing that she needed to have done. She chose to have a tummy tuck. And it was unnecessary. So it kind of sucks that, this happened to her. She was nervous about taking pain meds. And then that's how she died, apparently. I have to look this up real quick because I don't want to misquote something. I want to be able to read it the way it's supposed to be. I know I wrote a thing about it somewhere. Just can't find it right now. Yeah, here it is. Her name is Rachel Tussey, a 47-year-old Cincinnati mom and TikTok creator who tragically died in March 2026 after complications following a tummy tuck. So, she was a mother of 3 in the Cincinnati area. She was known on TikTok as Midlife Unmuted, where she documented her surgery prep and recovery journey. She had about 70 to 84,000 followers, depending on the platform, and she underwent a tummy tuck, liposuction, and umbilical hernia repair on February 25th, 2026. Performed by Dr. Torque at Journey Life Surgery Center in Cincinnati. Surgery lasted 9 hours. 9! She received 100 micrograms of fentanyl and 0.5 milligrams of I can't pronounce shit tonight, guys. I am so sorry. Diladuid during the operation, which considered low doses due to her low opioid tolerance. According to multiple lawsuits and news reports in the post-anesthesia care unit, a nurse allegedly administered an additional opioid dose for exceeding what she received during the entire surgery. She became unresponsive, suffered respiratory failure, and then anoxic brain injury, which is loss of oxygen of the brain. She was transferred to Bethesda North Hospital and then later to hospice care. She died March 17th. Dr. Torque filed a 32-page civil lawsuit against Journey Life Surgical Center, Associated Anesthesiologists of Springfield, Inc. A nurse administered a rapid opioid overdose. Staff were unqualified and failed to follow proper post-anesthesia protocols. Records were allegedly altered and falsified after the overdose, and the anesthesiology team allegedly left the facility during recovery, violating Ohio code. The overdose was not a complication of the tummy tuck itself, according to Torque. Journey Life denies wrongdoing, stating that the doses given were baby doses and within standard of care. Narcan had no effect, suggesting the event was opioid related. The family declined an autopsy, making the exact cause of death uncertain, and dies 20 days after successful surgery. Files are being altered. The surgeon's getting sued, but he's suing the surgical center. The husband never had an autopsy, but he's suing everybody. Why would you not get an autopsy? I understand it can cost $7,000 to $8,000, but one, wouldn't you want that peace of mind to know what actually happened? I just don't get it. I don't. I have no words for that. Her husband wrote a GoFundMe and said that Rachel suffered severe brain damage after extended loss of oxygen. She was placed on a ventilator with minimal brain activity. She fought bravely, but ultimately passed away. Rachel documented her entire pre-surgery journey on TikTok. Her final video was filmed from her hospital bed, expressing excitement and gratitude. After her death, her husband's videos describing what happened spread widely. The case sparked national conversations about outpatient cosmetic surgery safety, stop monitoring standards, and oversight of private surgery centers. So if you want more information on that one, look up the case of Rachel Tussey of Cincinnati. Again, she went in for a tummy tuck and died 20 days or so after the surgery from an overdose and or anoxic brain injury. So that's a big one. Dr. Torque filed a 32-page lawsuit against the Journey Life Surgery Centers. I'm looking forward to see how that one turns out. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff that is going on in this world, and it's sad. So there's a lot this week that I followed. I didn't realize how many that I had, and I'm sure there's more. I just don't have them pulled up in front of me. I post things time to time, but I had to get caught up on a few because I was so behind. Because of my new job and studying a lot and not having time to actually sit and dive in cases. Or how about that other one that the Love County human remains identified connected to the 2013 disappearance of Molly Miller and Colt Haynes. Now, I saw that come up. They went missing in 2013. I don't know the whole story. I didn't dive into it, so I'm going to. So I'm not going to talk about it. But for those who have followed it, that was a big one, apparently. Love County human remains identified connected to 2013 disappearance. Molly Miller and her boyfriend, Colton Hayes, missing since 2013. That was another one that came up. Whew. I don't know how we all crime people keep up with all this shit. Like, it's always one after another and multiple at the same time. Like, and then we have the anniversary of Columbine coming up, April 20th. And that's sad. I've been following Columbine since 2000. So it happened in 1999. The first victim that was killed was Rachel Joy Scott, and her parents came to my school in 2000, 2001 and did a seminar on bullying and gun violence, and I never heard of Columbine. So I was only like, I don't know, 12 at the time, 13. And I just remember having a profound impact on me. I remember sitting in like 7th or 8th grade in the gym. I think I was in 7th grade. You know, Rachel's family came and did this seminar and showed us a video. I don't remember what they said. I don't remember the video, but I do remember meeting them after, and I actually bought a copy of Rachel's journal that I really hope my mom can find at her house. I know it's somewhere, and I'm pretty sure they signed it. I don't know. It's possible it's still there, but I've been gone for 17 years, and I cleaned out some stuff, but I don't know if it's still... I know exactly where it would be, too. Like, I know exactly what shelf it would be on, but whatever they said that day left an impact because I became obsessed with Columbine, and not in like a bad way where, you know, some people try to replicate everything. It was just, I was so invested and so emotionally like involved with this case. And maybe it was because it was the first time I ever heard of a school shooting, and it just stuck with me, and it always has. And we're coming up on 27 years already. Like, I can't imagine what the people at Columbine felt and still feels today. If you've listened to a few of my podcasts, you would know that, and follow my Facebook. I got to go to Columbine in September of 2025 when I was at CrimeCon for Denver. And my cousin and I got on a shuttle from the resort to a train, to another train, to an Uber, and went to Denver. Like, you would think it was really quick, but with all the traffic, there was a Broncos game. So it was, oh my God. It took us like 2 hours to get there when it should have taken like maybe 40 minutes. And then we were there and we walked up to the memorial and the sun was setting, and it was just so beautiful and breathtaking. Denver is gorgeous. Like, I would go back. I would really, really would go back. And I really hope CrimeCon goes back there one day at the Gaylord Resort, because everything was beautiful. It was breathtaking. And when we got to Littleton, where Columbine is, it was just the perfect weather. It was the perfect temperature. The sun was setting perfectly. And we got to go to the memorial and see all of these stones with things engraved in them for each of the victims and the teacher. And I probably shouldn't have done what I did, but if I was going to be on the grounds of Columbine, I was getting as close as I could. So my cousin and I walk up to the front of the school, and they have picnic tables out front with a big glass window that says Columbine with a big flower. And I walk right up to those glass double doors that you see a lot on TV. Now, that's a big school. I don't know if those were the exact doors because there's entrances and exits all over around the school. But I did look in and I got to see down the hallway. And I'm not positive if that's the hallway where Eric and Dylan, you know, were shooting and throwing those bombs and whatnot. But either way, kids were running in and out of that door. I just stood there, and it was like chilling, and it was sad, and you can feel the heaviness on the school property. You could just, I mean, when we were there was kids practicing like tennis and basketball, and, you know, students were having Sunday night practice. But when I walked up to the door, my cousin didn't. She didn't walk up. I did. Like, my nose, you could probably see my breath on the glass. That's how close I was. And I didn't know there was a sign that said no trespassing. I didn't see one. So when we were leaving, somebody opened the door and said, you know, no trespassing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, sorry. Like, I didn't know. But I get why they do it, because they're taking every precaution they can. But their sign should be a little bigger, considering it was like the size of a printer paper on their front glass door. Like, I didn't see it at all, and I was standing right there. And you wouldn't know it was there until you got up close to the door. So, I mean, I wasn't trying to trespass. I wasn't going in the school. But, you know, they have to take every precaution they can. But I did apologize, and we left. But that's just the type of person I am. Like, I want to be all in it. So I got the full experience. except going into school, which I don't know if I would actually want to go in that school. That's just horrifying. But I've seen so many documentaries. I'm currently reading a book now that I'm trying to finish, keyword trying, before April 20th. It's the Columbine book. Now, I've read books. I have another book that Dylan's mom wrote, but I haven't gotten to it yet. But this one's just called Columbine. I posted it on my Facebook. It's by Dave Cullen. It's a New York Times bestseller. And I'm 12 chapters in, and it's pretty good. It's like really descriptive of what went down hour by hour. But there's so many controversies on it because apparently the cops didn't go in for hours and lives could have been saved, whatnot. There's a lot of controversy on it, but all in all, 12 students lost their life and a teacher. And I'm going to do a review on that book when I'm all done. But that's just a case that's so freaking heartbreaking. I hate it. But I can't get enough of it. And I don't know why. I don't know if anybody else is out there that is into Columbine like I am. But it's just crazy how the shit like that those two boys could get that much stuff, have that much, I guess, dedication and passion and privacy. No one knew what they were doing, mapped it and figured it all out. And it went exactly as planned, except bombs didn't go off like they were supposed to. But they obviously had high IQs, which most people that are serial killers or killers, murderers, a lot of them do have high IQs. So, but they were nobody saw it coming with them. That's the crazy thing. But I'll say that for another podcast. But I'm going to wrap it up because I just talked about a lot of things. But again, I didn't have enough information on each of them to make a podcast on all of them because a few of them, the information I have is the information I have because we haven't gotten any more updates. But as they come, as we get some information, I could dive back into them and make separate episodes. But if there's anything you want me to cover, let me know. You can direct message me on Facebook. You can email me truecrimetiffkline@gmail.com. You can send me an Instagram message. If you want me to talk about a case, let me know. If you want me to share a missing persons flyer, let me know. May, I will be going to Vegas for CrimeCon. And then July 17th, I'll be volunteering and sponsoring the 3rd annual Gabby Petito fundraising event. I was there last year. It was a blast. I cannot wait to see Nikki, Tara, Joe, and Jim. And just have a good time because it was a blast last year. My friend Aspen's going with me. He's volunteering. And then October, Aspen and I are going to Boston to the Crime Story Fest. I'll be set up promoting my podcast. It'll be my first event. And I'll meet up with my girl up there, Danny After Dark, your host, Jules, Cheryl McCullum. And then we're going to go see Boston and Salem after it's all done. And it's a place I've always wanted to go. So I'm looking forward to that. And then that's all for the crime events that I have. I was supposed to go to one this weekend in Philly for Nicole and Gemmy's. It's a fundraiser thing that they're doing, and I just couldn't make it. So, but without further ado, I'm going to wrap it up. I don't know if that was the right phrase to use. I'm a goofball today. I don't know. I'm in a good mood, which is great. It's just strange that I have so much energy because I didn't think I slept that well, but apparently I did, and I'm functioning. And it's Friday, and the weather. It's probably because the weather's 73 in Pennsylvania right now, and to us that's like 95. So we all get so excited because from December to March, the average is like 20 to 30 degrees. So if anything above 30 is like a heat wave for us. So we get really excited and our seasonal depression goes away and everybody's outside living life. And then people forget how to drive because it's nice outside. So, you get pissed off while on the road because it's full of potholes. And then you have people who just don't have any fucking awareness as they drive. Good old Northeast PA. All right, guys. Next week, I will try to have Aspen on my show. We're going to talk about his experience at the Delphi trial. We did part 1 a few weeks ago, and he talked about knowing Abby and Libby's family and getting to the trial and his experience in Delphi. But now we're going to talk about his experience at the actual trial. We're going to talk a little bit about the Rick Allen, and a lot of people still think he's innocent, but to each their own. I don't know. I wasn't there. I try to keep my opinions off my podcast because I just don't want things taken the wrong way. I don't like words being put in my mouth. So I try to stay neutral and unbiased and just give you the facts that I can find. I try not to give an opinion or a theory because it could hurt investigations. It can hurt families and the victims. And who the hell am I? I'm not Cheryl McCullum. I'm not Joe Scott Morgan. I'm not Nancy Grace. I'm not Vinnie Politan. I'm not out there. And I'm not doing the work, so I don't have the real shit in front of me to be able to say, this is a fact. I can get information from those, creditable sources, but I can't say, well, this is it. This is what happened. I can tell you what I think happened, but again, I don't want to do it publicly because you never know what could be said, screenshotted, quoted, how hurtful things can be. So if I have a conversation with people, I'll tell them, but I try not to on a public platform. So I just try to do that out of respect for the victims and their families. So yeah, I want to thank you for tuning in. Again, this is True Crime with Tiff Kline, giving criminals the disrespect they deserve.